Gather round, friends. It's time for Officials Tales. Hosted by three retired sports referees that coaches throughout Northern Ohio knew as the Three Blind Mice. They are authors of the book called Officials Tales. So let's meet the authors and your hosts, Jimmy Borgia, Rick Hall, and Don Nardecchia for today's edition of Officials Tales. Now here's your host, Rick Hall.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's special Officials Tales episode. And as always, I'm joined by my partners in crime, Don Pollen, the Pollen Man, Nardecchia.
No
How
longer.
you doing, Don?
It's done for the year.
You know, he's not the pool boy; he's the pollen boy.
Yeah, that started beginning of February down in South Carolina here. We're not far from the mountains and all those pine trees and their pollen and stuff. The prevailing winds go west to east, and so up in the mountains they've got a head start for traveling, and it's just an area that runs from about here about 30, 40 miles south. It's like where all that pollen dumps at the beginning of pollen season, and so it started beginning of February this year, and it's been light for the last month, but the first chance I really had to take everything out of the screen porch and get the power washer and the scrubbers and stuff and wash all that stuff out of the screens and the corners and under the rug and stuff. So tomorrow's the day.
There you go. And and we got to bring on our pasta expert, Mr. One Eye Borgia. What's happening, rehab? What's going on?
Yeah. Still doing a rehab. What, you got a weatherman now? Is he Dick Gotter's son?
Well, just for the pollen.
Pollen check.
That's
for,
a pollen check.
For allergy sufferers.
You know.
But hey, you at the end of last show, you said something about making a couple gallons of pizza sauce.
Yeah.
Give yourself a pat on the back here. Where'd that go? You're always donating pizza sauce to good causes around town.
I took it up to the Spring Fling. Donated 2 gallons of with meat and 2 gallons without meat.
Oh, that's St. Paul's.
Yeah, they didn't go for as much as they did last year, so
just
made some money for the church. But then they didn't have the silent auction, but only 2 hours this time. Why, I don't know.
What, did you give them our book to auction off?
They had everything set up there. I should have got on a little bit sooner. I could have taken another book up there.
That's okay. We did something last year.
Get it next year.
Yeah, so, they got the hardcover. That's
the only. That's the good one.
As far as I know, it's the only person outside of our families that has the hardcover book. And I tell you, it's a great keeper for us because all the pictures that we had that were in color turned out really nice in the book.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's the same picture that they did a nice job with the toning of the black and white stuff, except for a couple of pictures of Jimmy that came out of a program or the newspaper of him straight, the old fake, I'm reaching for a ball type of thing that they used to do back then.
Yeah.
That one's in there.
That's when the guy with the derby took the picture, He was standing back there with the big thing, that gets the flash.
Yeah, that was black and white one of me at St. Mary's wiping the salt residue off the baseline before we started the second half of a girls' basketball game over there. And
that mopping of the floor,
for as many Sandusky people know us, and they were playing St. Paul, so there's that many more that knew us. I think Billy Sykes was with us. Yeah. And that made the paper thanks to Jim talking to the photographer, but they got to Joe Centers, who made a joke of it on Jimmy and Bill. and that picture in the stories in the book.
That's a great story. Hey,
Uh-huh.
I do want to tell you that I verified. We just happened to get our teeth cleaned Monday, and our lady that does our cleaning, her husband was a basketball coach at New London and does golf now. And I said, "Hey, I need to verify something." She goes, "What?" I said, "Did they actually put the football field and the track up by the school?" And she goes, "Absolutely," and it's incredible. Her eighth grade daughter actually runs track on it now. They had one of their first meets was on the new field. So
Good.
congratulations to London. You're actually moving up in the world.
Well, that's always been a good. I remember back to the Nugents and the oh gosh, who was all in that group.
Well, you had
Um,
Nestor and Nugent and Cooks. And,
yeah. That
oh,
that group and probably for 3-4 years before them, they weren't in the Firelands, but they were pretty good. Uh, and they had a wonderful man that took over after Coach Nugent. Um, and he was their AD, and boy, he gave me a couple of breaks, but he was just a really really good man. Paul Nestor.
Paul
Uh,
Nestor, Hall of Famer, my
yeah,
coach,
yeah,
Hall of
great guy,
Famer.
great guy.
So, but tonight, actually, we're gonna kick off. Unfortunately, part of it's about the NFL because it just came out, and then part of it, unfortunately, is about coaches acting goofy. And we're gonna finish up tonight talking about an incident we had at Southview, and it's again, it's unfortunate we have to keep bringing this stuff up, but parents, coaches, they wonder why our kids are the way they are. We got prime examples. So, but first off, we're going to start off with the NFL's having their meetings, and they've done a couple of votes already. This is actually after we started talking about it. But Don had a couple of things he wanted to bring up. I know one, which we can clarify. Um, they voted on if, because flag football is going to be an Olympic sport here coming up. And they voted on allowing the NFL players to participate in flag football as an Olympic sport. Well, that's probably a foregone conclusion. It was anyway, because that's what they do in the Pro Bowl now. They don't do anything but flag football and skills. But now the other deal that they were coming up with was what they call the tush push. Now Don and I have some strong opinions about that from being in football, ref in football, and and what we think about it. And honestly, for us, there are rules against it. It just depends on how you look at it. So, Don, I'm going to let you go ahead and give us your opinion on the tush push, even though we know that they didn't outlaw it, not this year.
Right.
But go ahead.
Passed by a couple, and the Eagles owner talked for an hour about this before they could vote. But I think it's a ridiculous play for professional athletes to have to put forth. They've got better skills.
Sure.
They've got uncharted speed and moves, and to reduce it to a rugby scrum
Literally
is clearly not football. And I dealt with not so much packing up the line, but I when I'd see a kid run somewhere and nobody's grabbing below the waist to try and bring him down, it's just a stand up. Inevitably, somebody is going to come out of nowhere and push somebody in the back so the pile moves.
Sure.
And pushing an opponent in the back is an illegal block in the back. But because it's in that scrum, nobody wants to blow the whistle. The pros, I just, the whole game is about speed, skill, agility, strength. It's not about trying to come in and push a guy in the back. It's not about grabbing the runner that is having trouble getting through, grabbing his arm and pulling him through. That's outlawed. That is illegally helping and assisting the runner.
Sure.
It's illegal in college. It's illegal in high school, and they're trying to make it by using almost the same verbiage that high school does. that it's should be illegal there. And I don't know what their language, where the opening was that they could make this play legal, but it's embarrassment. It's embarrassment to what the league is about. It's an embarrassment to what the Players Association. When are you going to give more money to these these guys as big as a bull that are in the middle of that thing to score a winning touchdown in the Super Bowl sometime? It just is not right. If you can't play the game, like sure, go two tight ends, go full house backfield. Now you've got plenty of blockers there that you don't have to help the runner. If he can't find his way to the hole, he shouldn't be an NFL runner. It's just ridiculous. And on the officiating side, it's an impossible thing to deal with.
Yeah.
I mean, one game that I remember clearly was over at Worcester High School at their old field. I mean, I used to love to go to Worcester because the band came down from the high school, which was like 3.5 blocks away. They came down the street. It was downhill in a valley. They marched down there and in a gate and onto the field and all that stuff. You could hear them coming. Great atmosphere. One side, the bleachers seemed to go into a second deck because above the home bleachers there were homes and people would sit up on the back porch and watch the game. The track, you had to run 5 laps to get a mile. So the corners of the cinder track cut through the corners, or the rounds cut through the corners of the end zone, all 4 corners.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, I loved it. It was like playing an old time setting. But one of those games, we did the Worcester Orville game for a number of years. A huge rivalry back then, huge rivalry. 2 teams that were very good, and we had a game that came almost down to that. It wasn't a helping the runner situation. Orville was on a drive. They got down to about the 1-yard line. Time was running out quick. I don't even think they huddled. They just came up, and the quarterback just took the ball and buried his head under the butt of the quarterback and tried to dig behind the center. And everything just became a mound of flesh there.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, me being, on the back line of the end zone, I've got no call in that. I can't see anything.
Mm-hmm.
The guys on the wings, I mean, you can't pinch before the ball snapped. We see as the ball snapped what the guard or the tackle are doing. Are they pulling? Are they straight blocking, or are they pass blocking?
Right.
From that time, we pick up what our next move is going to be, where
Absolutely.
we're going. If it's on the goal line, they're just straight blocking. We're pinching.
Mm-hmm.
But it all disintegrates so fast, nobody saw it until if you got to the goal line. Quarterback Rick, you can't see the goal line on the 10th game of the season on a high school football field when everybody's there. It was just a mess. They went in, they determined that he didn't make the goal line, and the game was over. I mean, the clock went zeros after he created the pile, and everybody came and dug and to find the ball, and they said game's over. And over there, we dressed back at the high school. And so there's a van waiting for us. And luckily, we were at the proper end of the field. Luckily, we were at that end of the field where the van waits for us. We hop there, and the van shoots right down to the exit of the big parking lot there and curls around to the high school. So I know what it's like when that chaos exists. And there's more officials and there's cameras. But if there are that many people around that guy, it is so hard for an official to see. He gets blocked out by other bodies. Cameras to see. Now, the coach from Orville called Rick and had a conversation with him, and he said, somebody does the TV game on local cable. He said the TV showed he definitely got that far. And he said, and he gosh, I can't think of the coach's name over at Orville right now, but Rick said, Coach, I said, that thing, you're looking at an angle from near the 50-yard line to the goal line, plus way up in the air. My guys are right down there. We did everything we could to look at it and get the call right, and we feel we got it right. But how strongly do we feel? Well, more than 50%, because it's a no-win for everybody.
Absolutely not.
On a play like that. And it just, he said, well, why didn't you give us a signal? No good. And they said, because it was not an extra point. It was just the last play of the game. There is no good. It's either touchdown or nothing.
Either this.
And said,
that's it.
They didn't realize that. But
well, now, Don, we would come in with we'd come in and go, I got it.
You do that.
Yeah.
Start the clock.
Yeah. I got it. I got the ball.
And it's when a few years that I worked on the wing, I just found out exactly how important it was to pick up that first key block as a key and sprint in tight where you get a look. And a couple other tricks is for new officials, if you're on the goal line and the ball's inside the 5, you are supposed to, at the snap, slide down to beat the runner to the goal line. So you can actively look at that and make sure if there's a fumble near the goal line, you've got to know if that ball broke the plane while still in the hands of the runner or if it's out. And, those are calls that you've got to be on the spot. You can't stand at the 5, watch him go by, and then expect to get the proper look right down the pane of grass, you might say, that is the goal line.
Too late.
And if that ball breaks it, they get 6. It's just those are impossible. And by doing that, the NFL owners may have egg in their face in the next 2-3 years in the playoffs, whatever. One of those things goes that nobody can see. Replay cameras can't find it.
For me, Don, I think it's what's going to happen is one of the primetime players is going to get hurt in one of those scrums, doing that kind of tush push. And when that happens, the dominoes will start falling. Yeah. Now, if you're an official, for me, I saw this at a game. I was actually announcing for Buckeye Cable where the play had actually stopped and then, got shoved and they let it go. As a wing, hey, when that momentum stops, hit the whistle. That'll stop them from doing that horse shit.
And if somebody else is pushing illegally in the back, like there's a defender there holding on to the runner, and all of a sudden that offensive player comes and pushes them back, that's an illegal block in the back, trying to move the guy that moved your buddy.
Absolutely.
If that case comes up to me, I'm going to blow the whistle. And if he yells, I said, because if I would have let that continue, I would have had to call a penalty for you guy for blocking in the back. Yep. That's the only way you could move that pile.
So what do you think, Jimmy?
It's the same way. Why can't the defense jump up over their defensive line and block an extra point then? It's the same, kind of the same thing.
It's a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you're aiding to something else. So
the guy that's jumping
if you're gonna do the tush push, then
by a teammate. So
right.
Yeah, that's almost a better analogy than I first thought, because it's aiding the runner, it's aiding the defensive player to make a play, which is what they're trying to aid with there. I saw that the Packers changed the wording to include grabbing an arm or a couple other things that are really not legal. A teammate to grab by the arm and pull him forward.
Sure.
They got more specific with things on this one, and I'm thinking, God, all those things are illegal, aren't they?
All right, well, they should be.
But again, there's big money, and I don't know if the fans really. I know the fans in Philadelphia love it.
Well, yeah.
But I just, it's not what you pay big bucks to go see, because you don't see what's going on.
Well, we're gonna segue right into fans and coaches being goofy. That's actually a perfect segue. I'm going to start with my story. Don's got his, and then we got a little video for you guys. My story actually happened last weekend at my grandson's tournament game. We were at Sports Force. They were playing a team from Beaver Valley, believe it or not, here in Ohio. Very interesting name. But
Pardon me for interrupting, but are you talking about basketball or baseball? Because
baseball.
everything baseball.
Baseball.
Okay.
This is baseball. And we're watching the game, and we have actually for this tournament they had OHSAA officials, real certified officials, and they had two: home plate umpire and a first base umpire, first, second. So anyway, we're watching the game, and the game was really close, first 3 or 4 innings, and there was a tight play at second. There was a steal attempt. The ball was thrown right toward the bag, not on the bag, but just if you're looking from home plate, just right of the bag. The kid catches it as it's hitting the other kid in the helmet, tags the kid tags the bag. It's bang, bang. The umpire calls him out. Boom. I got it. Good call from where I was sitting. I was home plate. And all of a sudden I see this third base coach for the, offensive team is batting. He walks out onto the field and he's got something to say to the umpire. And I'm thinking, what the hell are you doing? Why are you walking out on the field to argue a call, delaying the game? Then he comes back and and then there was another bang, bang play at first. Same thing. Boom, we got him out. And then he walks over there, and you can see the umpire getting progressively ticked. And as he starts to walk back, he kind of gets close to the home plate umpire. And he goes like this, one more, And I'm like, okay, I can see what's going on. So, and then it was like an inning later, the catcher, our catcher, third strike, boom, third strike. The ball bounces out of his glove. He grabs the ball, boom, throws it to first. He's out. Then this fan for Beaver Valley. Yes, you guys, you're going to be famous tonight. Starts yelling at the umpire. Open your eyes. He couldn't even catch it. It was nowhere in the strike zone. Okay, even the professionals drop third strikes. Okay, see it all the time. And he goes crazy. So the kid he's a younger guy. I shouldn't call him a kid, younger guy. OHSAA umpire. He turns around. He tells him, he takes his mask off. He goes, hey, you need to calm down. He goes, if you keep going, you're out of here. Guy kept talking smack. He tosses him. Well, this guy refuses to leave. So he goes, well, we're not going to play anymore until Sports Force. He goes, you're either going to leave or we're, so there's people there keeping score from Sports Force. They call up front. The cop has to come and get the guy, walk him out. Okay, and it gets better. Okay, so now the fans are at it, right? So at the beginning of the next inning, where they were up to bat, our team was in the field. All of a sudden, the umpire's over there by first, and he points at the first base coach for Beaver Valley and goes, you're out of here. And I'm like, what? And he goes, and the coach goes, I was just talking to the right fielder. I was just telling him he was in the wrong position. I'm like, bruh, nobody's buying this shit. You said something derogatory to that right fielder that umpire heard, and you're out of here. Of course, that set out another, tumult, And I'm like, what are, guys, this is a U13 tournament. Okay. You're not winning the World Series. You're not winning one of these, you're not. Okay. Most of these kids aren't even going to play the next level. Okay. None of them are Cuban. Look at the major leagues. Wake up, white people. Anyway, but yeah, that's my story. It was just I was just blown away. I will give the kudos to the officials. They handled it great. They took care of stupidity and they took care of arrogant coaches. My point is, what the hell are you teaching your players? What are you teaching them? All right, Don, go ahead.
Well, I'm going to equate a situation that happened in a football game that we officiated, and this uh, circumstances before the game now became much clearer after the game. But when we got there, we had no communication with the school at all during the week. I always, as the last few years, as a crew chief, I would send an email at the beginning of the week to the athletic director's office, uh, just saying, this is the crew. They know who the crew is, but we're just confirming it. Everybody will be there by X time. And is there anything going on before the game? It's last game of the season, like senior night, anything that we should know of that might clear the field earlier, or that we may have to adjust the pregame situation for. And here is my phone number. If any of us have a problem getting there, I will contact. I asked for a cell number, so that if anybody had a problem getting there, he could call and notify him they'd be late. Pretty standard stuff.
Sure.
And it got to be Friday morning, and I still had not heard a reply. So I called the athletic office, and all I got was a voice message from the secretary there, asking me to leave a message. So I basically explained the same thing to her, and I just want to make sure we're on the same page with each other. We got nothing. We always get at least everything's good. See you Friday or something like that from them. Sure. So we get there, and a local official met us, a basketball official met us and showed us our locker room and everything, how you guys doing, all that kind of stuff. And no athletic director came in to introduce himself. So we go out on the field for the pregame, and we go do all that. And when we see the home coach, he's working with his linemen. And he says, "Hey guys, I got a question for you." And we said, "Sure, yeah." He goes, "Give me just a couple minutes here." And so he started coaching this, line play, and he starts, getting really excited and hollering, and "Hey, no, we need more effort. You gotta kill them. You gotta kill these guys. You gotta kill them." And I mean, you could see it in his eyes. He was either a drama major in college, or he was on the edge of going off. And so he asked us one of the technicalities of a blocking rule and stuff. We told him, what the rule says, and he said something about them doing it. He said, "Well, we'll make them aware it's a call we have to see completely, and we'll attempt to do that." So game goes on. When we see the coach, we always have to ask, are your players all legally equipped and legally equipped and dressed properly, which means pants that go below the kneecap, and the towels we're the
eye black, the whole works.
We're the police for that stuff.
Oh yeah.
The coaches know it. They get all the information, but if the coaches would do their job, we wouldn't have to be the police for it. But when we have the captain's meeting, that's all good and well, and so we get to playing, and at the first time out that's called, we notice that our umpire noticed that one of their captains had the old Ultimate Warrior paint job on the face. Now, the OHSAA Special Situations Handbook will let you have one swipe the length of the eye socket and nothing else. It's just about like this. You can have it. That's it. Twice that year, we got special notices every Friday night. Every Friday, we get a list of things that happened around the state that shouldn't have happened, or things that happened and were done right for us. And we were put on notice that we should be looking for the eye black, because if the kids wear it after the coach says they're legally dressed, it's an unsportsmanlike conduct foul on the coach. Now that's pretty severe. And so I think most crews just use the method of, you got to go to the sideline and get that grease off, just one strip. So that's what we did. We sent them out during a timeout. We don't play in a few, but when we had the timeout, we sent them over. Their sideline goes berserk, the assistant coaches and stuff. So that evidently the coach had the Ultimate Warrior theme for this game against the team that had beat them the last couple of years, I think, and probably shouldn't have. So anyway, the whole time I'm on their side, and they're nitpicking everything we do, and it's ridiculous. And one time I looked over and said, fellas, you can write us up and send it to Columbus, and Columbus will deal with it with us, type of thing. And the rest of the half goes on, nitpicking over there. Yeah, that's Norwalk guys. Two of us were Norwalk guys. But anyway, the visiting team has a 1 touchdown lead, and no, they had 2 touchdown lead. The home team is driving the ball. Probably got the ball with maybe 6 minutes to go in the half, and they do a nice job, nice slow power drive down the field. They get to about the 5-yard line. Maybe it's 4th and 1, something like that. Now, that's a situation. Now, let me tell you what we dealt with all game. Both of these teams, when they huddle close to the line of scrimmage. The old rule, go back like 7 yards. These guys are just a couple of yards off the line of scrimmage. So when they come out of the huddle, we have to determine every snap. Wing officials determine if there are 7 guys out of the line of scrimmage.
That's right.
And so when they come out of the huddle, we have to start looking on our side of the ball. You see the ball and you count them as they get there. There's not much time to do that, because once they're set for a second, they can snap the ball.
Sure.
So it's like bang, bang, where are they? And we have a signal. If we only, both teams occasionally run an unbalanced line, which means on one side of the ball, they got a guard and a tight end. And on the other side of the ball, they got a guard and 2 tackles and maybe a tight end or a wide receiver or whatever. So they flip a tackle for this generally. So to make sure, when I see only 2 guys on my side of the ball instead of 3 on the line of scrimmage, I have a signal to the official across the field. And he'll either give me one signal is we're good, or one signal that he's got 3, which means 3 and 2 plus the center 6. So we're about to have a penalty, but it doesn't happen until the ball is snapped.
Right.
Okay. So big play, 4th down, and I could tell, I could see the score clock right in front of the huddle, and I could see it because it was on the other side of the goalpost, and I could see that the 25 seconds to snap clock was running below 10 seconds. And I know from refereeing for so many years that if a team breaks a huddle by 10 seconds, they generally don't have a problem getting the ball off, getting the snap off. But this time there was some confusion, or they didn't come out of the huddle at 10. And so I knew we had to watch and everything. And so we watched, and as the end on my side got to the line later than the rest of the players. So they're all down in their stance trying to beat the clock, and he goes down, the ball snapped. There was not he has to be stationary for 1 second. He goes down, the ball snapped, the flag goes, and they give the ball off tackle, and he goes in to score a touchdown. So that would have brought him to within maybe 3 points, and it was just about halftime. So we go out, and I go to the referee, and I said, I've got illegal motion because he wasn't set for a second. The coach is on the field screaming, "Why didn't you give me a timeout? Why didn't you give me a timeout? I'm over here yelling for a timeout." Now he's coming down the sideline toward me. "Why didn't you give me a timeout?" I said, "Coach, I was watching your players line up at the last second. I cannot afford to look to you to give you a timeout." The other thing this is just between that thing. The other thing is the quarterback saw the clock. The quarterback could have asked for a timeout.
Easy.
And it wasn't that and then later they complained, well, the clock ran, the snap clock ran out. Why wasn't that called? And all we could see is that back judge makes that call because he can see it. And well, they can. It was a royal mess. So I go out to Denny, and so we're going to have a 5-yard penalty, and they'll get a play. They'll get to run a play. And this guy starts to go to the side, and then he comes back for more, just antics. And I mean, he was trying to get the crowd going, and so I flagged him again. I said, "This is 15 yarder. He can't be on the field to begin with," and he was on here twice now. So that moves him back. Now he's got 20 yards back more. Now they're 24-yard line, and there's definitely going to be like one play is all there was time for. They didn't score. So they are ranting as we go in at halftime. And some guy comes in and starts talking about the call. Now, this is afterwards. I mean, they were somewhat ugly, but I went over it one time and I told one of the assistant coaches that I think had been there for a while. I said, "Listen, you've got to hold him down. He cannot afford to get another unsportsmanlike, because besides leaving the game, he's going to have to take that he's going to pay $100 fine and sign up for the coaches class and all that kind of stuff. So just control him over there." So they lost the game and blah, blah, blah. In comes our 2 observers for the night, Rick Jeffrey and Bill Nam, who used to be on the crew with me. And so they came in, and some other guy came in right after them in the locker room, and I didn't know who he was. I thought maybe he was a young official that had hooked up with those guys, so as they observed, they could explain things to him. And and he just stood there and listened. So I figured, well, that's good. He can hear how we analyze what happened in the game. And Rick and Bill both saw what happened, and I said, "I think you guys handle it the right way." He said, "The only thing that if I had to take you to task for something, it was going to be that you let him come on the field for too long." And
Twice.
and then all of a sudden, this guy speaks up, and I said, "Well, who are you?" He goes, "Well, I'm the athletic director." Tell me his name. I said, "Where the hell were you all night? Your band is playing over there while Edison is trying to snap the ball, and I don't know who the athletic director is. They're not allowed to do that, you know." And he said, "Well, why didn't you stop them?" "Because it's not our job.
Right.
It's the athletic director's job. We tell the athletic director, and he takes care of it. But I didn't know who you were, where you were, or if you're even on that sideline." And then they complain I don't hear him yelling for a timeout. The band's playing while they're in the huddle.
Right.
I mean, it's confusion down in that corner. I was down. The band was right off the goal line down there where I was. I said,
Where it always is.
Yeah. I said, it just, I couldn't have heard him. I certainly can't turn and look
No.
why things are happening. I could have turned like that while that guy went down. The ball could have been snapped, and I couldn't have decided if it was legal or not. So they harped about why didn't the 25-second clock violation get called, and he said it because it didn't expire. I was watching, our back there said I was watching it the whole time. I said, and that wasn't the call. It was your tight end going down late and not having his hand on the ground, which he needs to have for a second before the snap.
Right.
That was the penalty, and that can't be called until the play begins. And because we don't know when they're going to snap it. If they're going to snap it at 1 second or no seconds. And my guess is the quarterback saw the clock and called the stat count to get it, but didn't realize that guy wasn't going down. But I don't know.
That's not our job.
The coach was border of being out of his mind as far as what was happening, especially when he was losing to these guys again. And when something like that happens, the state wants to know about it. So I wrote up a report now of the many different things. Going back, I told you at the beginning, telling you gotta kill him, you gotta kill him, you gotta kill him. All that stuff started making sense why he was so amped up like that.
Sure.
Before the game, that was a big play coming. And truth be known, the guy was not rehired as a coach after that season. That was his last game, as well as my last regular season game. And thank God I had two nice playoff assignments with coaches that were about as professional as you can be. One that we had officiated full over in the western part of the state, probably 3 times in the last dozen years or so, and a coach I'd never worked before. And they were both great. A couple of close games too. But anyway, that's the people in the stands, when they see the coach going off like that, they think he's right. Why would he be out there doing all this stuff? And the people, the illegal shift or the illegal motion, they don't understand what that is. They know offsides, they know holding, and they know pass interference. That's about it.
Yeah.
And it just just amazed me. I wrote it up and submitted it to the state with some video, and I got a reply back from the head of the officials saying that you did everything right. Certainly, you guys handled it the way you have to handle it. Unfortunately, the coach didn't think you handled it right, but as far as you guys, you did nothing wrong on that. So.
Well, it's funny you brought that up because we're going to dovetail right into a video about coaching. Now, I'm going to give you a little story behind it. I found this. It's an actual show on Spike TV. And it's got Ray Lewis, Big Baby Davis, and I believe it's a doctor of sports philosophy or some kind of doctor. But it's very interesting. It's about kind of coaches, way to coach, and the 2 variables of how to coach. So let's go ahead and take a peek at this guy.
Look at the age.
Wow. I guess my first comment is, boy, how would you like to be married to that? Holy crap. But that kind of dovetails right into what I was saying. I mean, holy crap, Don too. I mean, holy smokes. Could you imagine? Well, Jimmy, I mean, you didn't get to talk about bad experiences. We're going to start off with you. What'd you think of that video?
You see 2 different coaches coaching their way. The lady is like up in each one of their faces. You're supposed to do that. No, I'm the coach. You put your money where your mouth is. Where the hell is that coming from? Should be encouraging these kids like the other coach was. You get more fries with honey than you do with vinegar. Same, just treat your kids professionally, and that's what she was not doing.
No. What do you think, Don?
Well, when I coached kids, I did it after I took a good class and a secondary to that about why kids quit sports and whatnot. And so I did a couple of years of coaching. I did fourth grade. When Corey was in fourth grade, I coached his team. When he was in sixth grade, I coached his team. I helped with that team when there was an older kid on the team that the dad coached. But one thing I did when I coached, I did a really, really smart thing. I had an ex-coach as my assistant. For those of you know Mike Mink from town, Mike at one time was the basketball coach at Orville High School, and what ended his career is he was in a car accident where his voice box was crushed.
Oh,
So
yeah.
a teacher and a coach needs a voice. And if you know him, he does have a gravelly voice even now, but that's when he went into business with AAA, and that's how he ended up in this town. And the town of Norwalk's better for having him. But when we coach the kids, we never said you can't do that, you can't do this. And this was rec center. This wasn't travel ball. This was where you teach kids some of the parts of the game and make them enjoy the game.
Sure.
We had 9 kids on our roster, and most every kid was there for every game. And what I did, I listed them alphabetically on a chart. Our first game, players A, B, C, D, E played to start. Halfway through the first period, 3 more went in. Now let's see how we did. We had 5 in. We put 3 in and took 3 out. The next time we did, it was always 3 in, 3 out. Whenever they're, about every 4 minutes. And so everybody had to know each position. But how did we do that? We had an offense where everybody moved. As you moved in the offense, you went on the low block, you went across in a wing, you were a point guard. You moved around as you pass and cut, pass and cut, pass and cut.
Right.
This was Mike's deal. And early in the season, we did it okay, but not real well. And of course, rotating our roster completely meant the kids with the weakest skills are playing just as much as the kids with the high skills.
Sure.
And the second time around, people started watching what we're doing, and so they were going to play the next pass. So that's when we taught kids, when you make the pass, start going to a place to cut and cut back here instead of screening. Just play off that basic start. And we got pretty good, and we made it to the league championship game. But it was intelligence, discipline to what they do on and off the court. Okay, timeouts, everybody's right there, just immediately. And I don't kind of half stand and point down to kids. I take a knee so I'm looking right at their level. I'm talking right to them. I'm not talking down to them. I tell them what we're going to do. I tell them, don't forget we can do this. On defense, who's going to guard who? Okay. We played man to man. Other teams tried to sneak a zone in there, but we played man to man. Never degrade the kid. And we had a couple of 5th graders that one kid was afraid to shoot, and so I remember this one game that he was in the spot right inside the free throw lane. Somebody passed him the ball, and he had that look, and I just yelled, "Shoot it!" He didn't. It went in. The parents were on their feet, and here's the thing, I talked to the parents before the season. I don't want any hollering at kids unless it's absolutely positive. And my parents were wonderful at that. And that's just one of those moments when you coach kids when that got his basket.
Sure.
It's all in the way you do it. Other coaches, they take their best kid and everything was geared for him. How many of those kids are going to play in high school? I had one on our team that did. Actually, he played in the varsity for 3 years. Jake Willis, and but those kids, there was no ball hogging about it. You know, we worked the ball, and we worked it until somebody had a good shot. And the older kids are not afraid to shoot, but the younger ones were a little timid, and it just took the coach yelling, take the
Yeah.
shot. And we lost that last game because the officials missed badly. We set up a play. We were down by one. We set up a play with maybe 10 seconds to go. We had the ball at midcourt, and we were going to try to get it to Jake down low. But to do it, we're going to use a little misdirection with the passing. And the boy that was going to throw the ball in was a good passer. So we had somebody, I don't remember who it was, start at the top of the key, take 2 jab steps into the key, and then sprint out to the front where he was going to pass it to him. And then we had another guy to move and another guy. Well, what happened is when the kid took the jab step, his defender lost him momentarily, but came back to grab him when he grabbed his shirt when he got in the vicinity where he wanted to catch the pass, and held him up. And my kid, ready to pass it, just realized that the guy wasn't there because the kid was holding him. Nobody saw it. He calls a timeout. What else can he do? We didn't have a timeout left.
Ah,
You know, and
the
so
old Michigan Wolverine.
yeah, and you know, did I make a hissy fit with the refs? Well, most coaches would have, and I was tempted, but I just told them afterwards. I said, guys, I don't know what you were watching. Probably both watching the ball, but the kid that was supposed to get the pass, the defender grabbed him and held him so he couldn't get where we wanted to pass it to him, and he had no choice but to call timeout.
Yeah,
You know,
well,
I understand.
We've all been there.
Yeah, I understand. You know, we need you guys here to do this. So.
Yeah, you don't
But
want to be that
it's all the
unapproachable
way-
coach.
It's all the way you work with your kids. The first day of practice, we did a layup line, right-handed layups. Then we go to the left side. We're going to left-handed layup sign. I can't make a left-handed layup. I can't. Well, you're going to start trying now. We'll see. We
Practice.
did that, and we did some drills during. It was hard. It was a mess. But we did some drills during the season to improve that a little bit. And after that last game, we went out and we did our layup line, and then we did our left-handed layup line. Out of 9 guys, probably 6 of them made the layup. So, you know, you look at improvement,
bad.
you look at fun, you look how they improved. If that's the way we started, that's where we ended. All right. Don't worry about the loss. I'm proud of you guys. That was a fun time. With a bunch of kids.
Well, actually, we were going to add another story in here, but we're getting a little long for tonight. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to talk about our book first. Our book, which we were going to tell the story out of, that'll be for the next show, is available on Amazon today. Paperback, hardback, which we talked about earlier, and ebook. I believe ebook is all color as well. And if you can't wait to get it from Amazon in 2 days now, you can always go to the Common Good and pick it up. They have copies. We are going to be running a Father's Day special. Probably the next show we'll talk about that. And we'll tell you what we're going to do and when everything's going to be available. So with that all being said, what do you guys got in closing?
I'm working on something for hopefully the next show.
Oh, yeah.
We were in Greenville last Saturday night. It was Salute the Troops night, being that we're getting near the birthday of the Army. And before the game, we were just kind of over in this one section, and this guy comes up to me and said, "Is there any chance you're in the military?" And I said, "Yes, so what?" He said, "What branch?" I said, "The Army." He said, "How long did you serve?" I said, 9 years. And he said, "Would you be interested in being the honorary captain of the team tonight?" This was, we went to Ford Field where the Boston Red Sox high A team, the Greenville Drive plays.
Okay.
And I said, yeah, that'd be kind of fun. So I'm working on getting the video of me meeting the manager and walking out to meet the umpires and the other coaches.
Be great.
And while the umpires looking at the game cards and stuff, we're having a nice little conversation about roughing and stuff. Because I asked the coach from Greenville. So how they have a 6-game series now in minor league baseball. They only travel on Monday, and then they play every other game. It used to be, you play 3 one place, travel, play 3 more.
Right.
This eliminates a travel day, and I like it, except if you got a rivalry or somebody gets hit by a pitch or something, you got a 6-game series instead of a 3 or 4. But I asked the coach, how are these guys doing? And he goes, I said, well, I'll try to say something to him, and I did about, I'll if I get that video. Susie's got one, but it's me from the back all the way. She was behind me when I walked up there. The guy putting it on the scoreboard was on the other
Pull out
side,
that one.
so they could see me. And you can't hear the loudspeaker system on the field. But
Sure.
they asked me some questions about what I did. So they had the whole field they needed while I walked out with the manager there. So it was a
Great.
pretty interesting evening, and it was pretty neat.
That sounds awesome. Can't wait. Jimmy?
Living in the wrong
I think we
place.
said it all.
Think you
We
said
said
it
it
all?
all. I
Well,
think we have.
well, we do have one special deal before we go tonight. I want to say a special good. I'm gonna have my buddy tell you, and I'll read it to you. And then here we go. From my buddy, Chef Borgie. Good night, and good night from Chef Borgia, making pasta sauce since 1975.
Yeah, boy, RG. He was born in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Yep, Jeff Boyardee from Cleveland.
So I had to actually that was a little bit of sherry too, just so you know.
Oh, Sherry had something to do with it?
Oh, a lot to do with
Man,
it.
after she treated me to them cookies and stuff, oh, come on. Sherry,
Oh God.
I'll let her slide. She took care of me.
You should put that picture in the opening sequence there where we see Jimmy.
There we go. Look at that. It's even got our logo and the whole works. What do you think?
There you go.
Pasta.
You got it.
Yeah.
Sauce, nice, baby.
Yep.
Good deal. Good stuff, Rick.
All right. Hey, good night, all. Thank you. Thanks for joining us.
Like Joe Tate used to say, have a great night, everybody.
And God bless.